Peace and peace and welcome to the Culture right here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host Farajii Muhammad. Folks, we got a lot of great conversations coming at you this afternoon. We're going to talk a little bit about what's happening in government. We got to talk a little bit about what's going on with National HIV Day for gay and bisexual men. We're going to be talking a little bit about a host of things. So make sure y'all stay tuned for what we got happening in the next few moments. I'm looking forward to the conversation, looking forward to engaging you. So stay with us. We got a lot to talk about right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network. Let's go. Folks, welcome to The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for joining us and being a part of the conversation this afternoon. We certainly got a lot to talk about, so let's jump right in. The first conversation is we want to talk about the dynamics of remote work, how it's leaving Black workers out in the cold, folks. And this is something that's based upon a new survey that has just come out to show that remote workers, especially Black remote workers, are the ones that are getting the brunt. Take a look at this, folks. This is from the Griot, talking about working from home may leave out most Black workers. This is based upon a new study that was done. And I want to share with you just some of the dynamics of this study, some of the data, and then we're going to be bringing in Culture crew member Jules P. to be a part of the conversations. But take a look at this, folks. Here it is. Racial disparities, according to this latest study, racial disparities related to remote work have been gaining attention. Fewer Black workers have the flexibility to do their jobs at home because they are overly represented in low-wage jobs that require going to a work site. Now, Elise Gould, who serves as a senior economist at the Economic Policy Institute, she called work at home vastly unequal. Most workers, she told the Griot, continued going into the workplace during the height of the pandemic. Now, she noted that a study in which she was involved showed Black workers were, quote, more likely to be on the front lines and less likely to work from the safety of their homes. According to the study, the American Opportunity Survey by McKenna and Company, it shows nearly 92 million Americans, or 58% of the workforce, have the option to work at home at least one day each week. Now, when we're talking about looking at the changing dynamics of how we work here in this country, and then more importantly, to looking at the disparities, the economic and other levels of disparities that have been exacerbated by COVID-19, this seems to be another layer to the ongoing issues with this public health crisis that we've been dealing with. So I wanted us to have a conversation about this and take into consideration that what do we need to do to try to get Black people out of this vulnerable position where we're finding that Black workers, a lot of Black workers cannot stay home. And if there is another public health crisis, what does that mean? How will Black workers be impacted? Let's bring in our culture crew member for today, Jules P. Thank you, Jules, for joining us as always. Jules is a hip hop artist, is an advocate, and Jules has worked in many different spaces as managers, assistant managers. He understands the dynamic of work. But Jules, you worked in a lot of different places. You worked in retail, you worked in the healthcare space. But when you see that Black workers are still, out of everything else that's going on with remote work, we're still impacted by not being able to go remote in our jobs because of the low wage positions. A lot of these positions are non-professional positions. What's your take on that, bro?
I mean, that's hitting the nail right on the head. A lot of our positions that we come in, we're coming in on entry level, we're coming in on ground level, we're coming in on low wage level positions. So our positions are not able to be remote. We have to be there. I've been on both sides. So it's like, I understand it completely. So it's like, it does, it raises an eyebrow because like, we don't get afforded the advantages that others in other positions get. I can give you an example. So, like I said, me being a manager, of course, it's like in retail space, you have to be there. So it's like, of course, I have to be in those, retail stores and establishments to run the business. I can't have a remote work from that business. But switch sides when I go to now, me being in the hospital, there's different positions where I give you a prime example. Our HR department has not came back yet. So since the pandemic happened, 2019, our HR department is still remote. So wow. Any office position that has to deal directly with patients, we have to be there because we're in the hospital. But any type of job like HR, who controls everything basically for the hospital, because they deal with, every employee in the hospital, they're all still remote. So the office is still empty. Now it's 2022. They're still working remote. So we still have to email back and forth or call back and forth all day when we need, to do write-ups, or when we need to do, hiring or whatever like that, talk to recruiters. We still have to do that via all Zoom calls, via phone calls, because they're still remote till this day.
So I guess my bigger question is, Jules, what do we do? Is that something that needs to change on a management side? Is that something that needs to change as a public health policy situation? What do we need to do?
I mean, I feel like, because I don't want to put myself in a compromising position, because I want to say I worked remote too when I was in an office job. And right. I had to deal with both sides of it. So I had to be remote for a majority of the time. But then, say, for instance, when I knew there was a situation where, others would be at my household and I could not, focus and function, then I would go to the office because, the office was pretty much empty. It just was the office was a long distance away from where I lived at that time. But, I know if I went there, my computers were already set up. I could work remotely. I could work actually in there, get my 8 hours and then come back. To answer the question about what should we do, I mean, it's just like now we're in a compromising position because now it's been going on for so long that it's been a part of life now. Like, this is a lifestyle now. Working remote is a part of life. So it's like, hey, at this point, there's no policy, nothing that can change it. Like I could be like, oh, send everybody back to work. Like, I mean, if we got to work, they got to work. But at the same sense, there was other things that were created in this for last 3-4 years that, you know, help benefit the need of the remote work or the need of remote dealing. But for me, I give you a prime example. You call somebody for customer service for your phone or something like that. They're no longer in the offices. They're at home. Like, and that space was created for them. So it's like, I can't take that back from them. I'm not that powerful. So like, I don't think there's a law or policy that can, you know, change this. Like, I think this is just, it is what it is at this point. I mean, not to say I'm cruel, but it's just like, you know, those who are working and in work and they have jobs that need to be physically there, they have to be there. Those who have the option to work remote or the positions that require remote work or need, you know, or have the option for remote work, that's just what it has to be. But I think companies need to make that known from jump, like this is a remote position, this is an in-house position. So you already know before you're applying or before you're switching jobs.
Do we need to have a conversation, Jules, about getting more Black folks into these professional spaces? And it's interesting. I want to share with folks and Ariel and Keenan, if we can post the second quote up about, you know, where we are with the numbers around this situation. Take a look, folks. But two other numbers from the report suggest Gould's point of the fact that Black workers are more likely to be on the front lines. The survey found that 35% of workers could work from home 5 days a week, which means most workers can't. Moreover, 41% of workers could not work from home because their jobs aren't conducive to remote work. Black workers were overrepresented relative to their share in the total workforce in occupations unsuitable for teleworking, such as healthcare support, transportation, and occupations. Now, this is based on Abe Asfal, who's an economist at the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health. They told the Griot in the email. He examined the racial and ethnic disparities in teleworking during COVID in a recent study. So we're still, Jules, the majority in a lot of industries that require you to be on site.
Right.
Whether it's healthcare, like you pointed out, transportation, service work, retail work, food distribution, we still have to be there. And I'm wondering if remote work is impacting Black workers, where they just, you know, we're finding that a lot of our people are just not able to work from home. Do we need to shift the conversation from getting from those service jobs into more quote unquote white collar positions? What's your take on that?
But that's here also lies the disparity of it. So then, if that's the case, then, you know, the first thing that's going to be preached is education, certifications, degrees, because that's the things that those people had to get in those positions. Not saying we don't have those either, but majority of our frontline and service workers, our highest education is high school and some college. Let's be 100% honest. I'm speaking from a fact because I'm high school and some college. I did not finish college, but I've had a lot of great jobs and I had a lot of great positions due to the work that I had to put in, but I had to start from the ground level and work up. So the process of this happening to get to those positions of the remote work is, okay, well, the people that, the Blacks that if we feel like we're impacted, then that means we're going to start from the bottom and work our way up or get degreed and certified, because those people that were already in those positions already have those spots filled remotely. So it's like they're already doing that work. So it's like, it's kind of sort of like, it's now going to be a whole nother process anyway. So it's not going to be like a flip switch overnight where it changes and we're able to get into that space. It's like, okay, well, this is where we're at. These are the steps you want to take. But then I don't want to be like, all right, well, you got this 5-year goal of getting my degree, my certification, blah, 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 like that. And by the time you get to it, then remote work is completely gone. So then we did all that for nothing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's a tough space. Like I feel like it already is where it's at. I don't feel like Black people left out in the cold. It's just the positions that we have already had before these businesses got established that we were already on front line. So I don't feel like we're left out in the cold. These are the jobs we're taking. And a lot of us work multiple jobs anyway. So having a little remote work on the side, yeah, that can help for one situation. But a lot of people have 2 jobs. Like I worked 2 jobs, 2 full-time jobs for a very long time. It was very difficult, but I had bills to pay. So I get both sides of the equation.
Hey, check this out, Jules, and I'm sure you probably can agree with this. And take a look, folks. Here are the top industries where Black folks are underrepresented: finance, management, professional, scientific, and technical services. Let me just say that again. And also IT and telecommunications. So you're talking about finance industry, management, professionals, scientific and technical services. That's one. And then IT and telecommunications. They comprise the top 4 job categories that allow employees to work remotely. Black workers are underrepresented in each of those categories based upon this latest study. So we're not branching out. And so, you know, when there's the conversation about remote work now, Jules, there has to be another consideration that Black folks aren't privy or have the access to those places, to those spaces, right? Especially in finance. I mean, like finance can be from anything from hedge fund to banking, okay? Mm-hmm. So yes, Black folks are tellers, but guess what? Being the banks are open.
Right.
You can't be a teller from home.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So we're on that part of it, right? We're still in like the customer service space. We're not necessarily in the financial, in the spaces of, you know, hedge fund directors. I mean, I hardly know any Black hedge fund owners. I don't know. And folks, y'all can correct me. But, you know, when you're talking about setting financial policy, when you're talking about stocks, when you're talking about some of the big banks or the big financial institutions of this country, Black folks are not at those tables. We're just not in those spaces. When we're talking about scientific and technical services, again, Black folks, we're just not in these spaces. So this may shift the conversation, which is why we wanted to bring it up, because it's like, yeah, it's not just about gig work, customer service work, front desk work. This is also shining a light on the fact that Black folks, we need to figure out, okay, what's going to be our strategy to getting into some of these new spaces that we're not represented.
I think that, and to answer that question even better, I think the key word is adaptability. So the reason I said the key word is adaptability, if you look at, you know, generations before us, our parents, our grandparents, you know, they worked one job for 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Nowadays, you know, the information is so fast paced. You have Indeed and Monster, all these different things, commercials for jobs. It's like people are changing jobs probably every 2-3 years now. And that's the way of the world, because now people looking at your resume are like, well, you only work this one job now. What else did you do? Whereas somebody who switched, you know, 5 jobs in 10 years and they have different positions, so it's like, oh, you're very versatile. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's the way of the world. So it's like now it's adaptability. So now it's not getting set stone like, all right, I got a job, I'm just going to chill. No, the object is to grow. I'll give you a personal story about me. The one thing I do for jobs, I did this with Sam's Club, I did this with Target, I did this when I was at Tech Systems, I do this now with the hospital. When I get into a space of hiring, I do my job, but I always say give myself a year, because I want to see myself in other positions. I get bored fast. I love what I do. I love my work. I love my staffs. But I get bored fast when it comes to doing the same thing repetitive. That's why I could never imagine doing the same job for 20, 30 years. So I'm on the track of, in these companies, that's why I move and shake and move up and down. So when I was at Sam's, I probably had about 12 different positions, but that was awesome to me because I was able to grow. I was able to learn. Then I was able to pass that down and bring others up under me. So that's what I'm doing, the same thing with the hospital. Same thing I did in Target. Same thing I did in Tech Systems. Like, I love doing those type of jobs where I can work in the one industry, but I can have multiple jobs in that industry to grow and develop and then achieve more and gain higher recognition, because I don't want to be stagnant and just doing the same position for 12, 13 years. I got to move. That's my, I have job ADHD. I have to continue building and growing and then bring others up under me. I mean, and that's how I move.
Hey, Jules, I don't know if it's job ADHD or it's just the simple fact you're part of a generation that is like, I'm not working at one place for no longer than 3 to 5 years, right? Yeah. Most time people dip out after 2 to 3 years, right, at a job. They just like, all right, moving on to the next. And the thing about the workforce, it's like a strategy. It's like a game of chess. Or, you know, you're like, all right, I got this job paying me $50,000. Then the next job, I'm going to get that one paying me 60, 65. And then the next one, I'm going to get that one paying me 70, 75. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, right. You're not gonna go back. Nobody's gonna get a 70,000 and going back to 40. That's not working. Right. That's not working. So that's the move. All right, let me just share with you what our online culture crew folks are checking in and saying about this issue. And I just want to get these thoughts in very quickly. Lana, good to hear from you, sis. Loyal watcher and listener. Appreciate you so much. Lana, you checked in and say, I see this study being true. At current economy, we have to take 2 to 3 jobs to survive. Facts.
Facts.
So we got it. Look. I know some of us are professionals. White, we can work we literally are qualified to work in white collar spaces, but we're also doing gig work.
Mm-hmm.
We're also doing work where, we providing a service, whether it's paint parties, whether it's event planning, hell, whether it's delivering food, whatever you got to do to make a little extra.
Yep. Uber and Lyft.
You run out here in LA, I seen Lyft in a Tesla. I'm just blown away. I'm like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So you driving your Tesla around in California. Well, let me just put it in context. Tesla is not like a big car. It's like a pretty common car in Los Angeles. But you know what I'm saying? But it's just interesting to see how that goes. So Lana, you're right. Also, Lana, you said another thing. I've noticed these companies lose their rental real estate and depreciation from keeping us home. It's a tax benefit for them. But we home using our home equipment and tearing up stuff. Facts. Yeah. Facts. That's what it is. You know what I mean? Your electricity bill might be going up. You might have to get a different cable subscriber to do what you need to do, because now you getting more information, more data. It's not just watching TV. You got to get emails, and then you're doing Zoom calls and all that stuff. So you're right. Absolutely. Good point, Lana. Thank you so much, sis. Shalinda, you checked in. Most of us are public servants, and when working with the public, there is no working from home. Right.
Thanks.
There it is. There it is. Brother Damon, good to hear from you. Shalinda, thank you, sis. You said I work from home. I can go into the office I need to or desire to. I only go in for certain meetings. I am an engineer. That's a blessing.
That's a blessing, bro.
That is a big blessing. Big blessing. Yeah. Truth is power, my guy. You said, thank you, Damon. You said, am I wrong? Doesn't a lot of that have to do with education and educational background, which is used as astigmatism to keep you out of higher professional jobs? Yeah.
That's exactly what I said.
That's it. You got to qualify. You got to put your position. You got to put it in there. Corinna, you checked in. Before I moved to New York City in 2014, I always worked 2 jobs, professional and retail in Florida. Since moving back, this is the first time I've had just 1 job. I hope you a little bit better. I know you said that you're an academic advisor, Corinna, so I hope that your mind is at a different place. I've always worked 2-3 jobs. Let me tell you, it's tiring.
It is, bro.
Bro, I you know what I'm saying? It's tiring. And Max Powers, you checked in. You said, how about work where you want to work, but don't complain about the reality of that industry? Hey, look, because we all want to work and get a lot of money for it. But hey, Max, you know it like I know it. The reality check is when you realize your degree don't take you as far.
There you go.
The reality check is what you thought you would value, that is not what the value that your company is going to pay you, right? You think you worth $70,000. They pay you $55,000.
Mm-hmm.
I'm worth $70,000. Then that's when, hey, Jules, that's when quiet quitters start to come into the play.
Yeah,
I gotta get up out of this piece, boy. They don't know my words. You start listening to the hip hop, Mr. E.
Listen, I ain't gonna
talk about, man, you don't need this and you don't need that. I don't need this.
Listen, you do what you supposed to. Listen, you do that thing that everybody say you're not supposed to do, but we all done did it. While you at your current job, you looking at your next job. You applying, you sending out resumes on your work computer. Like you already looking for this opportunity.
Yeah, man, that's right. And you start posting stuff on your Instagram, like, don't let nobody tell you about your value or your worth.
Know your worth and add to.
Know your worth. That's your tagline on your social media page. It'd be like, my name is so and so. Know your worth. All right. Conscious thought. You said, for those who are echoing the need to expand trade school education and other forms of non-college higher education options, I salute you. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
Man, oh man. Well, we're going to have to see. And my hope is that this generates another set of conversations about it. But guess what, folks? We're still, and I said this before, and I'm going to keep driving the point home. In 2022, we're still breaking barriers. We're still as this report says, we're still underrepresented. And now we can't just tell people to just get money. You got to now tell people how to get money, the pathway to get money. Like if you're talking about getting money, quote unquote, then say, look, man, we need more black folks in finance. We need more black folks in architecture. We need more black folks in scientific and technical field. Like, this is the place that we need. And I bet you if once black people start breaking through that glass ceiling, the money's going to start flowing.
Thanks.
The money is going to start flowing. All right, folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come back, let's have another conversation here about what's going on. I wanted to have a discussion. And I first and foremost, I appreciate each and every one of you for being a part of the first conversation. But I do want to have a discussion about marijuana and how there is a new decision that has come out from the World Anti-Doping Agency. This is the agency that is responsible for dictating the agenda for athletes that are participating in the Olympics. I'm going to share with you their latest decision as it's based upon the situation in the case of Sha'Carri Richardson, our sister, who is the track and field star. Share with you their situation and get your take on that. All right, we're going to have that conversation up next, so stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen shootings.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
When we invest in ourselves, we all shine. Together, we are black beyond measure.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20036-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. Let's have a shift in the conversation as we talk about public policy. Really, we're talking about health policy as it relates to athletes in the Olympics. Now, there was a major decision that was just made by the World Anti-Doping Agency, which is responsible for determining the policy around certain banned substances that athletes can and cannot use. And so based on a new decision, the Olympics keep marijuana banned after review prompted by the Sha'Carri Richardson suspension. Y'all remember Sha'Carri Richardson, our sister, the track and field star who essentially had to, who was suspended for 1 month because of her use of marijuana for cannabis. And as a result of that, it prompted a plethora of people to really look at whether this was a justified suspension, given the fact that the changing sentiments around cannabis in this country is moving in a direction where we're finding that more and more Americans are thinking that marijuana, that cannabis use is not a problem, especially when states across the country are now debating whether they should legalize cannabis. And so some people are saying that the World Anti-Doping Agency is a little behind on the times when it comes to the situation. Well, they have decided to double down on their decision. And take a look at this, folks. Marijuana, according to the GRIO, marijuana use will remain banned at sports events after the World Anti-Doping Agency said on this past Friday it resisted calls to change its status on the list of prohibited substances. Now, athletes who use cannabis were consulted by WADA-appointed experts whose conclusions included that it was, quote, against the spirit of the sport. That's what the agency said. I want to get folks' take on this. And Jules, let's bring you back into the conversation. Against the spirit of the sport. Do you agree with this, Jules? And I'm going to share some more details, but I wanted to at least get your first take on it. Do you agree with this? Do you agree that cannabis is against the spirit of the sport?
No, not at all. Listen, so I'm going to go a couple ways with this. One, cannabis is not a performing enhancing drug.
Right.
Let's start with that. You don't gain any, you don't get faster, you don't get stronger.
You move real slow with cannabis, son. You move real slow.
Your vision doesn't increase. It's not a performing enhancing drug. So when it comes to sports and athletics, those are substances that need to be banned are the type of drugs that enhance, genetics, basically. I.e., we all remember the steroids era in baseball. As bad as steroids was in their eyes, that was the only time I was really interested in baseball. I wanted to see him hit 50, 60, 70 home runs every season. Like, that was the best. Like, that was the best time to watch baseball. I mean, yes, it's fun now, but that's when the whole world captivated to that era of baseball during the steroids era because of the performance-enhancing drug. So the drug that was bad made the sport more interesting. Well, here's the flip side for cannabis. I listen to my favorite podcast is All the Smoke with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, who are known cannabis users when they played as well. Their take on it was about the relief that comes down because they're putting all these medicines like opioids and things in your system anyway that are detrimental to your health after a game, that are not good for your life sustaining after your sport. It's like, but when we can prove something grown from the earth and, used as recreational use, but for medical purpose can be the suffice for that instead of taking all these drugs they dope you on. Because we don't want to talk about that story about all the athletes that are being prescribed things by team doctors to help them get back together, but they're detrimental to their careers after that. You have NFL, have all these retired players, have all these lawsuits fighting, trying to get health benefits because of all the detrimental contact they took and all the medicines they were given to subside the pain during the time of their sport. So it's like, that's where it gets tricky because you can't say, okay, this cannabis is bad, but all this dope and crap and stuff we're giving you, to get over the games is going to be helpful for you 10, 20 years down post your career. So it's just like, that's where we walk the fine line. That's why I don't think cannabis is bad. I think it's, if you're doing a sport and if it's your relief, it's your relaxation, yes. Now I'm not saying here, hit a blunt before you go play. Like, no, like that's taken away from that's taken away from the common sense of you chase your bag. Your bag needs to be your priority. Get your bag. So in order for you to get your bag, you have to be at 100% focused, play at a high level. So of course, hitting a blunt before you go play is not going to do that for you. But after that game is over and like your pain is it's coming down and you need to relax and then that's what you want to do, that's fine. But don't let it affect your bag. That's the Stephen A. Smith line. Don't let it, well, I ain't gonna say his line because his is just stay off the weed in general, but I don't think you should stay off the weed if that's the suffice for all the doping and pills that they're giving you after your contest is over anyway. Just my personal opinion.
All right. Well, you know what? Your personal opinion, Jules, is certainly not different from a lot of people's opinion. Like I said, the sentiment, the attitude around cannabis around in this country has changed dramatically, where people are more and more inclined to say, hey, let's legalize it. Let's stop adding so much stigma. Let's stop penalizing people who sell it. The sentiment is changing in this country, and it's fascinating. If y'all remember, like 30 years ago, we weren't even having this conversation. 30 years ago.
Right.
This is 22. And you're talking about in the 90s, we weren't talking about this. This was like, oh, weed, marijuana. Oh my God, the gateway drug. Now people get this thing prescribed. It's for everything from skincare products to food to relieving anxiety, PTSD. I read a piece about PTSD, and I'm not even talking about young people. The cannabis is being used by older people, senior citizens. Matter of fact, are using this as part of their medical treatment plan. So it is interesting how this whole direction of this is going. So I want to give some take from our online culture crew. Folks, post your comments. And I'm telling you, y'all are just going in about this situation. All right, Real Brooklyn, my guy, you starting first. You said sports to me is entertainment. So if they want to entertain me by taking drugs, then have that. No one can say baseball in the 90s wasn't fun with all the performance enhancements they were taking. Facts. Yeah. We remember that. Barry Bonds and so many other. Who's the brother? Who?
Sammy Sosa.
But who was it? Sammy Sosa.
Yep.
Sammy Sosa for the Chicago Cubs. Like, you got all these guys that were taking it. It was a part of the culture. It was a part of the culture. So I appreciate that, Real Brooklyn. You don't like my music. You checked in. You said if someone on performance on pot outperforms you athletically, you wouldn't have last anyway. Some of this stuff is not as some, of course, with the variations of the bud, of the flower, some of it enhances, some of it causes you to fall asleep. It depends on your body. It depends on everything. There's a lot of different factors. So I can understand, let me just say this. I understand why the World Anti-Doping Agency would put this out there, because you're talking about some people may not know the boundaries. If Sha'Carri Richardson is taking this stuff before she runs or even after she runs, or, you know what I mean? Like there got to be some rules in place, because some people may not know the boundaries of this, Jules. And at the end of the day, sports is a huge revenue generator. People tune into sports events, whether you're track and field, football, baseball, regardless. It brings, and nobody wants to see a high, athlete that's high. Now, it might be entertaining to Real Brooklyn, but the reality is, it's when sports is attached to so many things from a financial standpoint to a cultural standpoint. You got to look at all the major determinants and say, is this something that we want to be a message to our children, to the next generation of sports figures, to the next Sha'Carri's, to the next Barry Bonds, to the next whoever, Venus and Serena? Like, how do you have that conversation with the next generation of athletes? So I understand why the WADA decided to take on this stance. What's your take on that, Jules?
How do you have a conversation about take these opioids and things after you do your event? How you had that conversation? Like, you're not showing these young athletes that that's what they have to do to medicate you after these games. Like, so I'm not saying sit here to glorify, like, all right, after I run an event, you show me smoking a joint. Like, no, I'm not saying that either. But what I'm saying is also, don't make it seem like y'all the big bad, gurus and giving out all this good information when you're giving out all these medicines and painkillers with all these side effects that are detrimental down the line because nobody researched past your career. Y'all just doing things to keep the athlete at their highest at that peak. But then after that peak is over, y'all not showing what's happening at that. So y'all not glorifying that. So don't play the side now like y'all giving out like the best creams in the world to medicating, rejuvenate with after each game, and we're just promoting ice baths and massage. Like, nah, like talk about the stuff that y'all giving these athletes too, if y'all want to be on the forefront so bad.
Right. Well, that's a good point. That's a good point. All right, truth is power. You said Michael Phelps was busted 2 times and they put off his suspension so that he could win his gold medal. Sha'Carri did not get to compete and was suspended and fined. Look, folks, why do we act so surprised when there's a double standard relating to Black people in this country? Are you really surprised, truth is power? I know you're not, bro. You're pointing out. I know what you're doing. You're pointing out the disparity. You're pointing out the hypocrisy. I know you're not surprised though.
Right.
You're not surprised. Michael Phelps was dealt with, and even at that time, there was a big brouhaha. Remember that, Jules?
Yep.
I mean, people were talking about him like he was, oh my gosh, like he was nothing. And every time he came back into the sport, he dominated time and time again. He kept winning medals.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I never forget, I don't remember which player, whether it was a football player or basketball player or which player it was, but as long as you're winning, people don't care.
Which is sad, but it's true.
In sports, if Sha'Carri Richardson was still dominating on the track and field side, and she's been winning her last few meets, if she's been still dominating on the track and field side, would this be a major conversation?
Nope.
We talked about, I never forget the situation with Aaron Rodgers and how he decided not to, take the vaccines, and he decided to take the ivermectin, and he decided to. And they blasted him, right?
Yeah,
they blasted him.
He just did ayahuasca,
and guess what?
He's still starting. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's still starting as the quarterback for the Packers, and
he gets a bigger deal this year.
Like, oh.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so we got to figure out what are we talking about here? Are we talking about quote unquote drugs? Dealing with drugs, or we just talking about something cultural? Like because once you win it, if you're on top of your game and you smoke,
it's 100% about winning. You know why? Because that same conversation that Aaron Rodgers inoculation call, because he didn't say vaccine, he said I'm inoculated, and then they were like, they delved deeper. So what does that mean? And it's like, are you vaccinated? It's like, no. So then you've been around your teammates these past 5-6 weeks unvaccinated, when the league had a policy against being around in these spaces and in these team meetings without being vaccinated. But again, I'll go 100% cultural. You know what name I'm about to bring up in the same season? Cam Newton, because Cam Newton wasn't vaccinated either, and Cam Newton still doesn't have a job.
But that's not necessarily because of his vaccination. I don't think the NFL cares.
Because it's play. That's what I'm saying. So Aaron Rodgers is unvaccinated and winning. Cam Newton is unvaccinated and didn't win. So that's why that's the point I'm making. That's the point I'm making.
That's the point, Jules. That's the point, bro.
Winning and losing.
You know what I'm saying? Like, look. Nobody, and it's sad. Again, this is sad. We gotta, and I think that where the cannabis thing is, and I just had the doctor on last week to talk about it. She talks about our beloved doctor that talks about the value and the importance of having a very, very different conversation about cannabis use in this. And you know what? I might just break, now that I think about it, just bring her on to get her some more insight about this. Because is it a situation where we're just saying, okay, we need to step up the game? Because in this case, the cannabis conversation really needs to have it needs to be different. It can't be like the cannabis is the boogeyman at this point, right? You know what I mean? I know what people think. It's the gateway drug and all of that. Based upon the people that I know that use cannabis, they ain't going no further.
Right.
They ain't going no further.
Right.
And the mixed message that I think that is this blatantly obvious is the fact that if you talking people, oh, don't use cannabis, then why is the government looking at possibly legalizing it? Why is healthcare starting to infuse cannabis into some of their products, right? Like, why all these other things? You can't, and this is the problem with our culture. That's like, one thing is said, but another thing is done. It's confusing. It's confusing. People don't know. So people are left to say, you know what? I heard the guidance, but guess what? I'm going to do my own thing.
We'll do what I want.
The CDC could come out with something that says cannabis is, it's not the best thing to use. Let a major Fortune, a Forbes 500 company say that they use cannabis in their products and find that there's great success. The CDC gonna come back and be like, well, cannabis is not that bad.
Right.
I can't. I don't know whether it's all about the dollars and cents or it's really about health and public health and safety. I don't know. But what's your take on that, bro?
And here's where to relate to your statement, and I'm going to take us a whole different side, but it's also the same. So bear with me. The NCAA with name, image, and likeness. It's to me, it's the same thing. So the rules to me, in my opinion, the rule for cannabis is going to change because times have changed. You got to adapt to the times. Same thing with NCAA with name, image, and likeness. Reggie Bush lost his Heisman because of signed autograph material and memorabilia. But then now these athletes are getting millions of dollars before they even play their first college game for sponsorships and things like that. So it's like the times have changed. So I do feel that the cannabis element will change. I feel like it'd be a 4-year track. I give it a 4-year track because I would say they're not going to allow it no time soon because you do have another Olympics coming up in the next couple of years. So I feel like after this cycle of the Olympics, I feel like that's when it's going to hit world because I feel like the major sports like football, basketball, baseball are going to adhere to it, sooner than later because they're really active. But I feel like as far as worldwide sports, since let's get this next Olympics out of the way in the next couple of years, then I guarantee you it's going to affect that as well in the next couple of years where they're going to be like, I say 4 to 5 years, it will be looked at as, okay, all right, well, it's no longer just a detrimental thing or you're going to get suspended or you're going to get banned because you did this stuff. Like, nah, it's now part of the culture.
There has to be, and I really am going to bring our doc back on and get some thoughts on this because there has to be a different conversation. Mm-hmm. Because it's like the elephant in the room. We can't ignore it.
Right.
It's a part of our culture now.
It is the culture.
It is part of the culture.
Yep.
I'm gonna share this one little tidbit, and then we're gonna hop on it because I want to bring the doc back on. So I'm gonna try to get her on this week to see if we can look at it. Governor Newsom, he signed a bill here in California where he creates a law protecting off-the-clock marijuana usage. So basically, this bill, and he signed several new cannabis bills into law, but he bans companies from testing employees for marijuana because he found that when people get off the clock, they go home, they in their own space at their own time, they smoke. Mm-hmm. And so some companies wanted to test their workers. Governor Newsom said, no, we ain't doing that. You can't do that. That's their time. That's off the clock. Again, This makes sense because California is a state where cannabis is legal, right? So why would you penalize somebody you penalize somebody because that's the rules for your business, but it's legal according to the government, to state government.
Right.
You can't do it. It's mixed messages. So starting in 2024, workers who use marijuana while not at work can no longer be penalized. There will be exceptions for those in the building and construction trades or jobs requiring federal background clearance. So I know California about to get an influx of new people.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, they've been advanced on it though. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
the population's about to go up in California come 2024.
But it's not because of the cost of living in California. That's more people that don't understand that. So
I'm telling you, the cost of living is high, but I'm trusting to believe y'all. I only been here for a short period of time, but I see a trend happening in this state and around the country. It's going to break. Mm-hmm. It's going to break. And very quickly, I read in the Los Angeles Times, they had a piece about the cost of living in California and how, and we probably gonna have to talk about this, how college students who are going to University of California state schools like USC, UCLA, and all these schools, how college students are literally living in trailers because they can't afford student housing because of the cost of living. So now you put in your future professionals, your future bright minds in a position where they feel like they're not being supported. That's why I think that's a tipping point in that conversation around housing, because now if you got college students, people are paying thousands of dollars of tuition to go to these schools. And can you imagine you calling your parents and say, "Mom, I can't get student housing. Dad, I can't get student housing because because I just don't make enough, or the cost is so high. That where you living? I'm living under a trailer on Pico.
Right, which is
now you like, what?
What I'm paying for.
What am I paying for? Big state colleges. So certain things are going to have to get to that place. I'm using that, when we talk about housing, that might be one tipping point. But when we're talking about cannabis, there's certain things are going to happen in order to get people to have a different conversation about these things. But do you think that, real quick, and we got like 30 seconds for this, Jules, do you think that now that the World Anti-Doping Agency has made this decision, do you think that athletes are going to start to adhere to it? Do you think that Sha'Carri's going to stop smoking? What do you think is going to happen on the athlete side?
No, I don't think nobody's going to stop. Simple answer. I didn't need 30 seconds. Nope.
It's going to be a risk because they might actually be banned from the sport. Yeah, I'm assuming that if they do too many violations, they might actually be banned from the sport.
Do the smart thing and have your hand in many things, and just in case. You always need to have your fallback option. So especially with her name, she needs to already be established in businesses and other things. She needs to team up with a Jay-Z or Rock Nation. She already needs to be on that level. So in case that takes away, because again, you're not going to do sports forever. You get the bulk of your money from sports, but you want to have your hands in so many other things outside of your sport or outside of your career. Same thing with us regular working folks. That job ain't gonna be around forever. That job can get rid of you tomorrow. So you want to have your hands in so many other things or connections with other people. So in case something happens, you're already going to be right back on your feet with the next opportunity. So I don't see nobody stopping. And also say, hey, if they ban her or whatever, she'll have a fallback plan. She'll be all right.
I hope so. I really, really hope so. All right, folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's talk about retail therapy. I know Jules is going to appreciate this one. Do you feel like you need retail therapy, or does retail therapy actually work? Well, guess one major company says it actually does. And guess what? They may not be wrong. We'll talk about that company and what retail therapy is all about. Plus, we'll have a conversation about HIV and AIDS, as tomorrow will be the National Gay Awareness Day for bisexual and gay Black men. So there's going to be a conversation about that. And of course, I got some trends for some upcoming, some updates about trending topics and those who are doing the most. So stay with us. A lot coming at you in the next hour of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. We'll be right back.
When we invest in ourselves, our glow, our vision, our vibe, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for a Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
When we invest in ourselves, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
right, folks, welcome to the second hour of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, make sure y'all don't miss out on that first hour as we talked about everything from looking at the issue of marijuana to even talking about remote work, how it possibly may leave Black workers out in the cold. Make sure y'all go check out the replay. Always let your friends and family know. Share the content, share the show with folks. And big shout out to those who do share the folks. I see people like Jawan. Thank you so much, sis. Lana, thank you so much, sis. And others who are just continuing to share the shows even when we log off. So I appreciate each and every one of you doing that. Also, make sure you show your continued support for the work that we're doing here at Black Star Network. Check us out on our website at blackstarnetwork.com, blackstarnetwork.com, where you can support Black-owned media like never before that will tell our story and plead our case. So again, here are the various ways that you can support us financially, but the big way is by you logging in and by you downloading the app and by you sharing the content. And anytime we go live, anytime there's a notification about, a show or a special event, definitely share that with family and friends and get more people to tune in, because this is our media, y'all. This is truly our media. Now, also, I want to encourage you to check me out on my social media. You can follow me at The Real Farajii on Instagram and on Twitter at Farajii. Would love to connect with you, love to check in with you. So let's continue to build and let's continue to have the conversations, even offline, right on our social media pages. So check me out, The Real Farajii on Instagram and Farajii on Twitter. All right, folks, let's have a conversation about retail therapy. I saw this piece and I thought of my man, Jules. And I said, this would be the perfect discussion for him to chime in on, because they're finding that retail therapy, even though we're in a time where we often talk about self-care, we talk about the importance of spending time for yourself, doing things that are productive. Guess what? Retail therapy is still up there. And do you know the one place that is truly becoming the home for millennials and Gen Xers for their therapy? We said, and you see it. You see it. We run the commercials for it. It's Target, folks. Target. Yes, folks. And I say this with a smile because guess what? I love going to Target. I love going to Target, y'all. I do. Let's bring in my guy, Jules P., who is an activist, who is a hip-hop artist, and he used to work at Target.
Still got my badge, still got everything. I still got all my Target stuff up there. Listen, y'all.
Hey, look. I wanted to have this because Target, as you know, is one of the sponsors, the great sponsors of our Black Star Network. But I did not know how serious a Target run is for the next generation. Take a look at this, folks. Among a cohort of Generation Zers, Millennials, and Gen Xers women who view frequent trips to the cheap chic retailer less a weekly chore than as a therapeutic experience of sorts, a long time like you might get while going on a solo hike or getting a massage, but under the guise of errands, so they're easier to carve out with some frequency. It's not surprising that during perhaps the most collectively stressful slice of modern American history, Google searches for self-care spiked drastically during the first pandemic lockdown and are even more frequent now. Retailers have tapped into that anxiety. The multi-billion-dollar self-care industry has not only spawned hundreds of new companies and Etsy entrepreneurs selling normalized therapy and self-care snob t-shirts, that has also influenced merchandise trends at long-established retailers like Target, whose aisles begin to be stocked with titles such as Self-Love Workbook for Women, as well as items labeled as Self-Care Sunday Ideas, including a yoga mat, a Good Vibe sweatshirt, and a Me Time cup. Look at this. Does retail therapy actually work? Guess what? For Target buyers, it does, folks. It absolutely does. Jules, is going to Target, and I'm saying Target in specific because this is interesting. It's not like this at a lot of other retailers. And folks, y'all can check in on, big shout out to my online culture crew. Y'all tell me, because when I go to Target, I do feel like I mean, it's easy, and I'm sure you've probably seen it. People like, yes, I'm just here to pick up one thing and leave out with $200 worth of groceries, $200 worth of stuff, going to Target. But I'm surprised. It's kind of surprising that this is actually, I thought I was the only one that will go for a Target run, but I find myself wanting to go to Target a lot.
So can I give y'all the backstory? Give me like 3 minutes to give you the quick backstory of how I feel about Target. So,
man, it better be good.
Yeah, this, yeah, because this is how I got there. This is the story.
We don't play about Target here, bro.
Yeah, so everybody knows that. Well, for the listeners, the viewers, I worked at Sam's Club, which is a Walmart company, for about 10 years. After I got out of that situation, I went to an office job in Hanover. Around that time, probably I was there for 9 months. Probably about the 6th month is when we heard of COVID, and then by the 7th month when COVID really happened and everything got shut down. So then I had to be forced to work from home. So I had to bring my computers from the desk, my desk and everything, set up in my house, work remotely. And that just wasn't my cup of tea because I have a retail background and I'm not used to sitting still doing work. So let me give you the backstory of Target. So where I was living at on Bel Air Road, I used to always go to the Target down Canton in Baltimore. People that know Baltimore City only has one Target. There's Targets. There was one in Mondawmin, but of course that one's closed. All the Targets in the counties. So Baltimore City has their own Target, which is in Canton. So I went to the store. I just was shopping there regularly. And Farajii, like no lie, when I was shopping, I just was looking around like, yo, this is like a pretty dope place. Like it's like the atmosphere just felt like welcoming. It felt unique. Like even during the pandemic, yeah, we're all masked up. Yeah, we're 6 feet apart, but it still felt like good. Like there was nothing else open. It was either grocery stores, Target, or Walmart. Remember, everything was closed. So everything else in that strip mall was closed. Everything was closed. Five Below, Old Navy, all that stuff was closed. Everything was shut down. Only thing that's open was grocery stores, Targets, and Walmarts at that time. This is during the height of the pandemic, like when it first got ugly.
Yeah, bro.
Down. So I'm walking around, just looking around like, man, this is dope. So, that see signs, of course, I'm, again, how that conversation from the first block, when I talk about, hey, change with the times, I know that if there's a pandemic going on, we have office jobs. The company is losing money because they sent all of us home. So now we're working remotely, which means pretty soon people are going to be losing their positions at this job because of the pandemic. So I need to find something that I can still pay my bills with, sustain the lifestyle, and still be happy at work. It happens when I just happen to look outside the door. They had this big sign that said hiring. So I went on the website. I applied to Target. So let me show you how dope Target is. And let me shout out my HR at Target. Target has this thing where they don't hire supervisors from outside. They only promote supervisors within. When I filled out my application, they called and checked. I called to check on the status. They pulled up and said, oh, well, we don't hire from outside for supervisors. Like, you got to come in as an entry-level position and work your way up. So I was, I was on the phone like, all right, I understand, blah, blah, like that. So I'm about to hang up the phone. She said, ho, before you hang up, tell me about your background. What's your experience? So then I told her my resume, everything like that. She's like, hold on 1 second. Let me call you back in a few minutes. Sure enough, she called me back. They gave me the job. They brought me in for an interview. I think I came in for an interview that Wednesday, and I was basically given the job. They was like, all right, well, judging by your background experience, this yours. Like, you bring everything to the table that we need. So I worked at Target for 2 years in my position, and I loved it. Like, and here's how I relate this story to the retail therapy, because I'm a people person. Yes, during the pandemic, we're all masked up. We're all 6 feet apart. But the atmosphere in Target, people were still in there because it was the only thing open. It was the only thing to come to. Think about it. We're down in Baltimore City by Harbor East. So you got everybody that's coming into Baltimore, standing in those hotel shopping there. You have people that live in Phelps Point, O'Donnell Heights, all that shopping right there. Then you also have people coming from other neighborhoods shopping at that Target as well, because it's the only Target in the city.
Nice Target, Jules.
You got to see all types of people. And literally that word retail therapy is true, because people were just buying things just to keep themselves sane during the time. Because again, we couldn't do nothing. Like, that's what I want you to understand to people. Like, I don't know how other cities were, but Baltimore, we couldn't do nothing. Everything was shut down. You couldn't go to restaurants. You couldn't do anything. So that retail therapy is what kept people going. It gave people something to do outside the house. So we never complain like, damn, why are so many people here? It's a pandemic. It's a shutdown. Like, no. These people are trying to get out the house to do something, and Target is the place to go. They're happy here. They're standing in line. They're buying stuff. We still got trucks every single day, 2 trucks a day. So we get so much merchandise in that we had to keep on hiring more people to help unload these trucks. Like, we were getting so much product in, and people were just so happy buying and buying and buying and buying.
That's
the line was around the corner. all the way back to electronics. They would stand in line for an hour just to buy, like, no complaining because they knew what the situation was. But it's like,
let me just say, you know, this is as much, and I see people on our online culture crew, they checking in, and so many people are talking about they go to Walmart. That's cool. That's cool. I get it. I get it. Dollar store. No, I just want to do a quick run to the dollar store.
Right. Yeah.
No, that don't say hang around for me.
That says get my candy and get out. I'm hanging at the dollar store, bro.
Hanging out with the dollar store.
You ain't got no Slim Jim? I'll go next door.
I don't know which dollar store y'all go to, but the ones that I've been to, just want to run in, run out. You don't want to hang around. You don't want to be in the dollar store after 3.
They look like the old Mondama.
You just don't want to be in the dollar store after 3. So the dollar store is one thing, but it's something about, and it's so funny. And I, you know, maybe there's a study about this. Like when you go to Walmart, I feel like when you go to Walmart, you're going to like a flea market. You know what I'm saying? It's just stuff everywhere. You be like, it's so many people, so much stuff is going on. Target, you get in there, you be like, it felt like one of them futuristic movies. It's like, welcome to Target. Right. And then you just feel like, would you like your coffee from Starbucks today? Well, it's 2 in the afternoon, but a cup of coffee would actually be great. Thank you. Proceed forward. And then you have the nice Target staff, and it's just like, welcome to Target. And you're like, you know what? You are on point. And you know, they like the lights and all of that. And they make it by design, folks. Mm-hmm. They're making by design. Now, here's the thing, right? Because I still think that it's interesting that as part of our self-care routine, we love to spend money. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the thing that I think that is really, really fascinating about, and this is why I wanted to talk about this, because there's something about spending money. People say that they don't have money. And this is Black folks, Jules. You know it and I know. Black folks will say, we don't have the money.
I ain't got it.
I ain't got it. Unless you got something I want, then I got it. It's the weirdest thing. I don't know if it's because of the system of capitalism that we all are experiencing, we live in, or I don't know whether it's just because we feel like self-care. But self-care doesn't mean that you have to spend money. But it's interesting that we have gotten to that place in the culture where self-care means buy something. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting, right? It's interesting. And this is not a shade on Target or any store. It's just that there's a culture for that. Like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to treat myself. Buy something. Mm-hmm. Oh, you know what? I got a promotion this week. Buy something. Mm-hmm. Oh, my son graduated. My daughter graduated. Buy something. Right. You know what I'm saying? Man, I'm feeling kind of sad. You know what will help me? Buy something. It's like it's always something. And I'm wondering if we need to look at that part of our culture of retail therapy and really say to ourselves, is this good for us? Is this healthy for us? Especially if you're only making, you have limited resources, limited means. Right. We always talking about Black folks spending an exorbitant amount of money from hair care to other depreciating items. So does this really work for us? For us to buy something in the name of self-care?
I mean, I think that's literally like for our culture, and when I say our culture, I mean brown people, that's something that's still new to us because other cultures have been doing it. You know what I'm saying? So this is still something that's fairly new. We see it because we knew the 70s growing up, you know, in the other culture, the husband works, has this big high-paying job. The wife is usually in the house taking care of the kids, but, you know, has her groups and things like that. But while the husband's at work, she goes and spends. Like she's having a good time, and because they could afford it. So it's like that's been going on. Retail therapy has been going on. Now it's coming to our culture. Black and brown people are now a part of that culture as well because we say, hey, this also is a great stress relief. this takes away from the depression I'm going through. This takes away from me just getting a write-up at my job. Like, man, I just had a bad day at work. I need to go buy something. Like you just said, it's like, it kind of takes away. And it's like, okay, well, if it's a bad thing, it's only if you're So here's the only time it's a bad thing. And I'm going to be 100% honest, because again, like you said, black people say we ain't got it, but when it comes to something we want, we don't get it for sure. That's what me with shoes. Like I tell everybody I'm broke all day long. Shoes and you know, alcohol, of course, you know, when I'm out at the bar, I don't have a price tag when I go to a happy hour. Like it is what it is. But I tell everybody else for something else, no, I ain't got it. But you know, certain things I just definitely just indulge in, and that's my shoes and happy hours. I love those two things. But it's like, here's what we look at it. If your financial status won't be impacted majorly by it, then go ahead for it. So say, for instance, you say, okay, I have this extra 50, let's just have $50. Let's take a low number. I have this extra $50. Everything's been taken care of. I mean, I know I needed to put 30 in my tank, but I'll put 15 in there because I saw this brand new something at Target for $20 that I want. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that. If that makes you feel good, and if it doesn't impact you financially to where you're either overdrafting, dealing with debts, or can't pay something, then that's fine. But when it comes to a point where you really don't have it, and then you're wasting on it, then that's when you need to stop. Like, I can't be the barrier for that. You have to be your own financial advisor. So I'm not going to pass no law. I'm not going to pass no judgment. You got to be your own financial advisor. If you want to ask Jules P. what his opinion is, spend it. Buy what you want to buy. Be happy. You know why? Because you're going to die sooner or later, and you're going to be like, damn, I didn't get a chance to get such and such. That's going to be in your mindset. Like, damn, I could have got A, B, and C. I could have did this. I could have did that. Spend it. If you have it, go get it. But if you don't have it, be smart about it, or work your way up to it. Or,
yeah, but you know what though? Here's the thing, bro. Here's the thing. Companies, like a lot of these retail stores, they understand the dynamics of human psychology.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? So sometimes we're at a point, and this is the thing, we have to self-correct, right? We have to set our own boundaries. If you expect the people outside of you, a company or the culture or your family or your friends, to set boundaries for how you live your life, how you spend your money, you're going to be waiting a long time, right? Yeah. But these companies know how to tap into the human side of the psychological side of us, where we know that when you have a desire for something, you're going to make every effort to get it. Because why? When you don't get what you want, then everybody knows what that feels like. It feels like the world has caved in on you. It feels like that you're not worthy or valuable. It feels like that you're not deserving. So all of these things are happening. And so more and more companies understanding the psychology, and this is all part about the marketing. Companies know. They know how to get you into their stores. You know what I'm saying? It's like when a new phone comes out, why are people standing in line for a brand new phone that costs hundreds and hundreds of dollars for one feature, Jules? One feature. It'd be like introducing this all new phone. Boom, boom, boom. And now you can take pictures while you're standing on top of someone else's head. Boom. And then they have the cool music. And then you'd be like, yeah, now take. It'd be like the dumbest stuff. And we'd be like, yeah, yo, I don't know why my phone I can't take a picture with my phone while I'm on top of somebody. I need that. Yo, that's the feature that I need. That's the feature I always wanted. But you never talked about that feature.
But you know, so crazy. You're saying companies. You know who else contributes to that? Jules P. You know why? Because when I was running that Starbucks at Target, when we got that pumpkin spice, you know what I did? I took my sign from my Starbucks and I put it right in front of the store.
No. That's a different thing, bro. That's a different thing.
That changes
pumpkin spice. No, here's why, bro. Here's why.
Oh,
having a new feature, having a new phone feature, right? Like, look. Having a new phone feature, we all know that your phone's only going to do so much. Now you got phones that make movies like you making Avatar and shit. Now you got phones, right? You got phones where you can't even, like my phone, you can't even plug in the headphones. You got to get special paid. You got to get the headphones, the special ones and stuff, because you want to sound like you at a Dr. Dre concert or some garbage. You know what I'm saying? like these are the new features, and they price it out, and then they be like, but you need this though. Don't you want to sound like you're in a concert? Don't you want to hear? Don't you want to be a person that don't want to hear what's going on around you? They might as well put out commercials, bro. They'd be like, you don't want to hear from your mother-in-law? Put these headphones in. And
they probably already did.
Noise canceling headphones. They're like, you got some noise happening in your life? Put these in.
Your kids ask for milk? Put these in.
Just put them in. Hey, mommy, can we get something? These companies are not stupid. They're not stupid, man. They know how to sell us. And it's fascinating. Look, we're all a part of it. Look, I'm not coming on here and acting like I don't get drawn in too. You know what I'm saying? I get drawn in as well. I have to have, you have to have serious conversations about your spending habits nowadays. You like, damn, do I want to get this phone? Now your phone might be 1 year old, 6 months old, but they got the new joint out. You like looking at your phone like, damn, man, do I need? I mean, when I go out in places, people be looking at my phone and making me feel bad about myself. So therefore, I need a new phone so I could be considered to be a valuable human being in 2022. So I think I'm gonna get a new phone.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Also, one random morning at 11 a.m., a certain culture host came on my Starbucks Target line. I ain't gonna say no names, but I ain't seen that man about 5 years, but I ain't see you since the Freddie Gray rise when we was down City Hall. That's the last time I seen you before you came in there. So, I looked at one day and I said,
there it is. And guess what? We hung out in Target, and guess what? It was just all good vibes.
Right.
Because you got the pumpkin spice. Yep. The pumpkin spice, and you got, everybody in Target is all happy, you see the little dog walking around, he like, yeah, welcome to Target. And it's like everything is love, man. There's no disagreement in Target, man. Take that mess outside. You got a problem with somebody, don't go to Target with that problem. Take that outside. Right. Let Target security smooth that situation out for you, bro. That's all we asking for. Let Target security smooth it out. But I think it's interesting. Now, do we have a solution to this retail therapy? I don't know. I think we do need to look at self-care. I think personally, self-care should be doing stuff like outdoors, nature walks, and running and mountain climbing and doing your thing. But you know what? Who am I to determine what's good and healthy for somebody else? But here's the thing. The self-care part should be, we should be honest with ourselves. If you go out and you start buying up the block, you start buying up the bar, don't get mad at nobody else.
When the funds
hit low. if it's and seriously, if it's in the name of self-care, take care of yourself. Take care of your bank account. Take care of your sanity. Don't just lose it. Just take care of yourself.
But who is Jules to tell you don't need an 83-inch TV inside your one-bedroom apartment? Who is Jules to tell you? Go and do what you want to do. Just make sure you can pay for it. I can't tell you nothing. I can suggest, but I don't want to sound like the old battle axe.
You can't tell me no. But you can't even if you can't fit it in your vehicle, you don't need it.
Oh, I got a hack for that. If anybody needs to know how to get big TVs to you, but I'll tell you offline. Social media. I got a hack for it. If anybody can't fit the TV in their car, I got a hack. It's easy.
You don't need it. Hey, look. The retail therapy again. This might be a capitalistic thing, but at the end of the day, if it's about taking care of yourself, do the best to take care of yourself, and don't. I hate that. The worst thing that you can do is do something one night and then you wake up the next morning regretting it. Isn't that the worst feeling? Yeah. The worst feeling.
The worst.
I'm still talking about shopping, folks. I'm not talking about other decisions you may make in life. But
Thank you for watching the culture, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching the culture.
Just keep it in the retail space. All right, so there's still a lot, but it's interesting, and I think it's fascinating that we're in this time. Well, big shout outs to Target for helping us get through the pandemic, and big shout out to Target for making life just a little bit sweeter and better for all of us. Thank you, Jules, for your service at Target, sir.
Oh, wait till the next commercial break. You're gonna see something different. Gotcha.
All right, folks, I got to take a quick pause. When we come back, we want to switch gears. Let's talk about health and wellness as we're talking about self-care. At the 4:30 mark Eastern Standard Time, we're going to be checking in to talk about the National HIV/AIDS Awareness Month, which is September. But we're going to talk about why it's important for gay and bisexual Black men to understand the importance of getting tested. We'll have that conversation. Plus, I got trends posted doing the most. So stay with us. That's all happening in the final few moments of the culture right here on the Black Star Network. We'll be right back.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate Black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
When we invest in ourselves, our glow, our vision, our vibe, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
When you talk about Blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
When we invest in ourselves, we're investing in what's next for all of us. Growing, creating, making moves that move us all forward. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
All right, folks, welcome back. Now it's time for us to talk about public health and wellness as this month serves as the National Bi and Gay Men HIV/AIDS Awareness Month. And we wanted to have a conversation about this because we know that HIV/AIDS is still a very, very debilitating medical condition, even though that we have made great strides in this country to control and manage, where people are literally living with having the HIV having HIV, and even more so that they are making great strides and making sure that if your person has AIDS, that they are taken care of in the best way possible. So we wanted to have a conversation because I think it's important for us, as there are a number of men in our community who are part of the LGBTQIA community, whether they're gay men, bisexual men. The fact is that awareness is important. So we wanted to bring in to have this discussion Mr. John Jackson III, who serves as the public health analyst for HRSA's HIV/AIDS Bureau. And we're so happy to have Mr. Jackson on. John, thank you so much for joining us. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, brother. Thank you.
Good deal.
Thank you. First and foremost, John, talk to us about the work that you do as a health analyst, for HRSA. Talk to us a little bit about that work first.
Yeah, man. So I'm a product officer, but officially a public health analyst within the Ryan White program. And what we do is I oversee funding that's going out to states and territories and cities to provide money to states and territories and cities and community-based organizations to provide their own comprehensive system of HIV medical care as well. And so we sort of ensure that they are managing the funds and expectations with the Ryan White HIV/AIDS program. So basically, hey, we're giving you this money here. This money is to support people who are living with HIV, create your services, create your systems, create your programs, and ensure that it's in alignment with the expectations of the Ryan White program. So I oversee all of that. That's my role from day to day.
That's awesome. So give us some insight as to this national HIV awareness campaign for Black, gay, and bisexual men.
Yeah, man, that's a good question. So today we're simply just starting the conversation, right? Because when we start awareness breeds education. And when we breed education, we sort of dispel some of the misinformation that's surrounding HIV. And in particular, when it started about 30 years ago, it really implied and it really affixed the stigma to gay and bisexual men. And, it's compounded if you're Black or Latino as well. So as we sort of talked about it, we sort of considered that we need to sort of bring awareness and sort of dispel some of the myths that are associated with HIV, especially for gay and bisexual men, because it was largely affixed that only gay and bisexual men can obtain HIV when HIV is an equal opportunity sort of condition and disease as well. So anybody is at risk at getting it, but we do acknowledge that gay and bisexual men are at the greatest risk of acquiring it. So that's why testing, prevention, and treatment is so critical among this population, because they are the hardest hit. And so we wanted to have this conversation, sort of bring awareness about it and shed light to what is right and what isn't right.
Absolutely. And folks, HRSA stands for Health Resources and Service Administration. And I want to share with folks just some of the data around this issue, as HRSA has done the research and is putting information out there. Take a look at this, folks. In 2019, well, first let's start here. Gay and bisexual men are disproportionately affected by the HIV epidemic. The Health Resources and Services Administration, HRSA, Ryan White HIV/AIDS program encourages gay, bisexual, and other men who have sex with men, MSM, to be tested for HIV so they can know their status and get connected to HIV care and support if they test positive. Now, in 2019, an estimated 1.2 million people in the U.S. had HIV. Of those, more than half were gay and bisexual men. Another point is in 2019, gay and bisexual men accounted for 69% of the more than 36,000 new HIV diagnoses in the U.S. Gay and bisexual men ages 13 to 34 made up most of the new HIV diagnoses among all gay and bisexual men. The HRSA Ryan White HIV/AIDS program provides services to more than half of people with diagnosed HIV, more than 500,000 people in the United States each year. And then HRSA's most recent data revealed that 89.4% of Ryan White HIV/AIDS program clients were virally suppressed, exceeding the viral suppression national average of 64.6%. About 90% of MSM served by the Ryan White HIV/AIDS program were virally suppressed. So people with HIV, final point, people with HIV who take HIV medication as prescribed and reach and maintain viral suppression cannot sexually transmit the virus to their HIV negative partner. So a lot of good things, John, that, you know, that HRSA is putting out there in terms of making people aware. And you said, like, and I think this is important, which is why I wanted to at least share the space and having this conversation, that you got to be aware. And I know that there's a lot of stigma still, and there's a lot of denial that exists in the Black communities, especially among, you know, about Black men being gay, about Black men being bisexual. But this doesn't ring out as much as having this conversation is important, because either a member who may be watching, a member of the LGBTQIA community who might be watching this and saying, you know what, I have not gotten tested. I have not taken a look at my status lately. Or we know somebody that's right in our families, that's right in our friends network, that we need to have these conversations. Like, okay, fine. I'm not talking about whether you agree with the lifestyle. I'm just simply talking about taking the steps to ensure that you are living your best life, that you are living full lives in a healthy way. And I think that's very important to have.
Yeah, man, you nailed it. You said it better than I can say it. It starts with the conversation, right? It's a very complex conversation. It's not something that comes up naturally in conversation every single day. But we know stigma is so permeating, man. It crosses all boundaries. It crosses all genders and sexualities. But when we add racial components into the mix, there are social, structural, systemic barriers that we simply got to address. As a case manager back in Florida, I would be in the rooms with some of my clients. And so you would notice the interpersonal things that's going on, the way the provider would sort of behave in a room about their information. That stuff still implies stigma. It's so heavy. But then they take it back as we think about our Black communities and Black and brown communities. Having a conversation is already difficult enough. They want their care to be as seamless as possible. That's why we want to address the whole person, not de-identify someone just by their status alone. Like, hey, you're HIV positive, and it tells me everything that I need to know, which is not the case. And coming from the Right program, which is where I work, we focus on the whole person. We know that if your mental health is having issues, or you're having problems mentally, or you haven't had somewhere to sleep or something to eat that night, there's no way you're going to be able to be adherent to your medication, let alone stay in care. So the Right program has provisions in place to ensure that people are addressed. That whole wraparound support is so necessary to make those conversations easier. So when people walk into the door for their care, that's the last thing on their mind. Once they reach viral suppression, it's the last thing on their mind. But it does start with having a conversation back at home and back into our communities where we are hardest hit. But there is that medical mistrust as well that we will be remiss to not acknowledge. That's the elephant in the room, the medical mistrust.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge, John. And I'm glad that you brought that point up, because people are getting jabbed left and right nowadays. It seems like everything from, COVID booster shots to now, monkeypox. They're talking about the monkeypox vaccine. And I would love to get your take on that as well. And now there's this testing, but I would not put this testing in the same category as those. You know what I mean? Like, one of the, depending on the person and their politics is one thing, but to get tested for HIV/AIDS, that's not a political decision as much as that's a public health decision. Like, if you know that you are moving around like that, why not take the time to know your status? Even if you're in a committed relationship and you have not had a conversation, this is whether you're in a heterosexual relationship or not, that you still need to have the conversation with your partner. Because guess what, John, you know it like I know it. We're not talking about this stuff in our neighborhoods. Look, I come from Baltimore. Baltimore has the highest rate of STDs, HIV cases, as a small city with less than 600,000 folks than in any other place in this country, right?
Yeah.
And part of that is because, one, we have this, oh, ain't gonna get me type of mindset to it. But then I think, two, it's all about, we're afraid to have these very important conversations. Like, that gets into the way of the fun. You know what I'm saying? And so we're not even asking people in the very beginning. You want to hook up with somebody very quickly. Oh, I met somebody on social media. They want to hook up tonight. Are you asking them what their status is? Do you know where they've been? So how does in that considering that part of the culture, John, how did we have those conversations?
Oh man, that's a really great question.
I know. I gave you only like 3 minutes. I know. No.
But yeah, man, I think it comes down to why is it so difficult to talk about sex? Why is it so difficult to talk about our sexual health? That's a part of us, right? But again, that stigma is really wrapped around the idea of what it means to be a HIV positive person, right? But again, like the navigations of sexual health and how we have those conversations are more easier in peer groups. So like if I'm the same age as someone else, I can have that conversation. But someone like who's my senior or somebody else who I'm, dealing with or kicking with, those things are still very complex conversations, and people are really holding on to the fact that, living with HIV or you think about STDs or STIs in general, that conversation becomes remarkably difficult. And that's understandable because it's about knowledge. If I go by what I have been told or what has been passed down through stereotypes or myths, and that's all I have, and that's reinforced, then that's what I'm going to think. I'm going to think the worst possible scenario. But when we think about, hey, we have life-saving treatments such as medication, you take one pill every day, you live almost as long as anybody else who does not have HIV. When you think about the preventative measures we have, like PrEP, to sort of ensure that your partners or those who you care about, who are significant others who may not be living with HIV, have what they need. It goes back to knowledge. What do I know? What do I understand? What do I comprehend? And who can I reach out to ensure that misinformation doesn't run rampant? And so we spread misinformation, it goes back into our communities. Our communities multiply that, and it's passed down through generations. So we have to unlearn all that misinformation in order to move forward. So that's why we rely on programs such as the Ryan White program, where our providers have a long history of addressing and working with folks who look like us. I'm not saying cultural competence is a thing, but definitely they have more understanding and compassion, but we need to sort of replicate that internally and take it back to our community to say, hey, it's okay to talk about it. Let's start there before force somebody to go get tested and do anything else. We have to first have the conversation.
And based upon I know I want to give out some resources, John. So I would love to get some resources from you on how people can get more tested and more aware. But are you finding that within the among gay men and bisexual Black men in particular, that these conversations are had, or is this still something like kind of like an uphill battle to even have a conversation even in that part of our community?
Yeah, we're finding that conversations are becoming easier because we have like staple clinical information that has come out to say that, hey, if you're virally suppressed, that means if you are taking your medication, you reach the status of where the HIV is not as detectable in your body, is undetectable, right? That means you cannot sexually transmit it to your partner. That has freed up a lot of conversation, allowed a lot of people to sort of engage, and even on the other side of prevention, into PrEP as well. So that landscape sort of clinical decision really allowed conversations to happen. But again, when you think about the interconnectedness of Black and Latino and Hispanic, gay and bisexual men, there is still that added pressure of what it means to be Black, what it means to be of color, what does it mean to be gay and bisexual. And you compound those things together, you have an identity that's triply marginalized already from the get. So they have to fight through all those things as well in order to even have a remotely authentic conversation, and let alone with their providers who they, again, that medical mistrust is in the room. So I have to combat with that, the possibility of me being judged, and then me having to navigate it when I leave the office setting or the clinic, wherever you are. But we're finding an uptick in conversations about sexual health, but we can definitely do better.
Yeah, and one of the big concerns that I hear a lot about, and John, I'm sure you probably hear this as well, but for bisexual Black men who get into relationships with women and not telling them that, hey, I'm bisexual for one, I've had some experiences with men, and then not even having, I guess, the courage, for lack of a better word, not having the courage to fully say, look, I don't know what my status is, or maybe I need to check my status or something, because women are finding out that they may have been exposed to HIV. They may have been exposed to some STDs later on down the line during childbirth or doing something else that may happen. So my question is, can we prevent that from happening? Is that, and I know that's a big part of it, a big question, but is there something that we can help to lessen the pain? Because I'm just hearing a lot of sisters now that are saying, look, I didn't know my man was bisexual. I love him. I'm still trying to figure out whether I want to be with him, but I had to find out, and he didn't come out and tell me. So that opens the door for a lot of people to have that stigma and to have that anger towards members of the LGBTQIA community as well.
Yeah, man, that's a point that's well taken. I definitely hear what you're saying as well. Yeah. And again, I think it definitely goes back to what we were saying earlier about the fact that having these conversations from the get, let's demystify HIV in general and say, hey, HIV is for everybody. It's not for anybody. It's not for one particular group. It's not for one particular population. So even heterosexual women or homosexual men or, men who have sex with men, anybody is at risk for getting HIV. That's why we want to reiterate the fact that testing is necessary across all spans of life. There's no one particular population that needs to get tested more than the other. Is a responsibility for ourselves first, because it is our sexual health in the beginning. So having those conversations is important, especially when we think about methods of transmission. Sexual transmission is the number one rate for HIV infection. So if you are a person who has sex, right, it's your responsibility to get tested. It's your responsibility to talk about the results after you get tested. It's your responsibility to continue to make that as part of your best. We talked about self-care earlier. You were talking about that's part of it should be your overall wellness and self-care is to get tested and know your status and to just know and be on top of your own sexual health. So that way, the more you are engaging with your sexual health, the easier to have the conversation with those that you care about. So that way it doesn't become, somewhere like interpersonal conflict. And then it causes us to regress a bit as far as our work to push past and to end the HIV epidemic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Brother John, as we take last few moments together, and I truly, truly appreciate you just having this discussion. What are some of the best resources? You're talking to a national audience. Do we go to our local respective, health departments in the cities and the counties and states that we're in, or how do gay and bisexual Black men get tested?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. So in regards to the Ryan White program, we have a new revamped website. Check it out. It looks really nice. It looks really dope. What's
the web address for that, bro?
Yeah, let me get it for you. So it's ryanwhite.hrsa.gov.
Okay. ryanwhite.hrsa.gov. Yeah. And if we can, and Keenan and Ariel, if we can pull that up, that would be awesome. ryanwhite.hrsa.gov. I'm taking a look at it right now. Yep, I'm looking at it right now, John.
And you can see that there's an HIV care tab towards the bottom. If folks need to find a provider, they recently tested positive, they can connect with their local support networks as well to sort of find care and be linked to the care. But I like that, man. Check out your local health departments. They test for more than HIV. They also have another host of resources depending upon your jurisdiction as well. So just getting care. If you are positive, there is care out there. You live as long, healthy life as anybody else, right? It's one pill a day. People take that for those who may have diabetes as well. So it's just medication to ensure that you are living your best life as well. So yeah, we're definitely here to support you on the Ryan White side for sure.
We're pulling up that website. Take a look at that right there, ryanwhite.hrsa.gov. That's the website, folks. Brother John has been sharing information from. You can get all of your information, even the stay up to date, or right there on monkeypox.
Yeah.
You find out some details about that, but more importantly, find out HIV care and treatment. You find out how you can keep yourself healthy and safe. John, people are checking in because they appreciate the candor of this discussion. Incognito, you said if you're not married, then don't have sex without testing. Simple. That's one of the big things. You just got to get tested. So Incognito, thank you so much for checking in. Let's post a couple of these other comments on Ariel and Keenan. Janine, you said, my thing is every time you have a physical, just get the blood tube drawn. It's not that damn hard. Yeah, it's not that damn hard at all. Damon, Brother Damon, thank you, Janine. Good to hear from you, sis. Brother Damon, you said the conversation about STDs need to be had across the board. Absolutely. Absolutely. Brother King Lee, you checked in and said, before I date for a possible romantic relationship, that woman must show me a recent HIV/AIDS test result and I show her my recent HIV/AIDS test. That's absolutely. That means that you're dating with intention. If you're dating just to go all over the place, you might have to get tested a couple of times. You might need some updates on your situation. But it goes along with the intention, right? Like if you are dating someone, you come across someone, then you can kind of like hunker down and to have those very important conversations. And in 2022, having a conversation about STDs, HIV, AIDS is not taboo. This is real. Mm-hmm. This is very, very real. This is so real. It's crazy. Serious Heart, good to hear from you. Thank you, big brother King Lee. Good to hear from you. Serious Heart, you said lots of people don't want to be inconvenienced with the talk and just assume it's all good to skip over it. Right.
Yeah,
to their detriment.
It's that mentality of just assuming that, hey, it's not going to be me. I'm not going to be hardest hit. But again, it really is it's something that impacts everybody. It's not just one particular person is going to get it. But again, that avoiding of the conversation and how we use that information is everything. We use that information to spread dialogue, to spread conversations, not to put other people down, right? Because that sets us back a bit, right? Because we've done the work to get past that interpersonal conflict. So using it with intention, like you said.
Absolutely. And very quickly, Shalinda, you said, what about the millions of women who have had the disease from our down low brothers? Let me just share this. And John talked about this a little bit earlier. The fact is, you got to have if there's an element of that in any heterosexual relationship where a woman feels like a man may be bisexual and she didn't know, you got to have that conversation in a very, very safe space, because that's a lot for any relationship, anybody, to feel like they can just uncover it. It's got to be in a safe space. It's got to be done in a spirit of love. And the brothers who are on the other side of that equation got to understand that it might take a woman some time to process all of that so she can come to her decisions. But either way, it has to be done in a very, very, I think, in a very sensitive, culturally sensitive way, in a very important, safe way, because that could be debilitating, that could be damaging, it could be violent. We know that as well. So those conversations have to be had. But if a woman can't, you sleep in a rep, tell you that energy ain't going to be good. It's not going to be good, because there's so much already attached to it. John, you smiling, bro. I know you understand. I'm sure you heard some stories, man. I'm sure.
Yeah, man. I mean, just working as a case manager, man, you really hear it all back and forth. Just the conversations, man. And I think it's just like, hey, it's a real good opportunity to say, hey, let me know myself. Let me understand myself. Ask about it. You lose no credibility by asking a question that is your right to ask. It's what you do once you get that information. How do you move differently? What do you change in your practice? Do you simply just do it and not practice what you preach? Some of those things also bottle that sort of resentment as well that may come up, but these are interpersonal things, right? We know that treatment, it works. We know that testing is a surefire way of you understanding and knowing what is going on as far as your sexual health is concerned, but we have to get past those hard conversations. But once you start to have them, you begin to adapt language that is your own and begin to make sense for you. It's not something that say, hey, I have the information, so I have this power over you. It's say, hey, I'm taking charge of my sexual health to ensure that anybody that I'm dealing with or any communities that I love are impacted by, understand where I'm at and what I need to get support. And that's overall message, wraparound support. So critical.
Yep, absolutely. John, I appreciate you, brother, for coming on to the show today. Share with us John Jackson, the third public health analyst for HRSA's HIV/AIDS Bureau, talking to us. Folks, King, and let's put that website, let's put that website right back up on there, because I want to make sure folks get this information. Folks, if you want to get more information about having conversations on how people can get tested, those Black men who are gay or bisexual, they can go and check out the resources at ryanwhite.hrsa.gov, ryanwhite.hrsa.gov. You have a host of information about what's going on with HIV and AIDS in our community, how to have these conversations, talking about monkeypox and so many other things that are affecting the LGBTQIA community and Black members of the community. So definitely check out that health resource online, ryanwhite.hrsa.gov. John Jackson III, Thank you, brother. Truly appreciate you and for your information and being so good for the culture.
It was a pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Folks, we're going to take a quick pause. When we come back, Trends, Posts, and Doing the Most. We'll bring Jules back in. Stay with us. It's The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear. When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind $100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
When we invest in ourselves, we're investing in what's next for all of us. Growing, creating, making moves that move us all forward. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
When we invest in ourselves, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
All right, folks, very quickly, we want to bring you up to date on Trends, Posts, and Doing the Most. Let's bring our culture crew member, Jules P., back into the discussion. Jules, thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, they made these for us. That's how dope Target was. I got 1 hour waterwork, and this one still got the tag, and I said I'm gonna say this one for a rainy day. This still got the tag on mine. They made these for us. Yeah, Target like that, baby. Target like that. Yeah, baby. I had to go find it real quick. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Come to Target, baby. Shop at Target. I'm Jules, thank you.
Yo.
Yeah.
Target about to give Black Star Network, the culture, $100 million.
$100 million. On Jules, baby.
Target, come holler at us.
Holler at us.
Holler at the culture. That's how we love. That's how we do over this side. Woo, all right. You the funny one. Oh, let me just, since you brought it back to Target. Oh my gosh. Let me tell you.
Yeah, the comment.
Jawan said, but buying new sheets of towel is self-care for me. Target do got some nice sheets and towels. Let's not go back into this, folks. Let's not do this. I just wanted to let people know I got you. I see you. They do got some nice sheets and towels though.
Yes, they do. Better homes.
Hey, look, if you can't shop at Target, don't hate on us. You know what I'm saying? If you can't do it, whether you call it Target or Target. They look like they take care of you. All right, let me move on. Trends posting doing the most. Here's the big trending topic for this week, the weekend. Woo!
It's a major one.
We already know it's going to be. So I think Hove is always trying to put his friends on.
Yeah.
He always trying to put his friends on.
Successful.
Why do I say that? Because this weekend it was announced, folks, that Fenty creator and owner, a new billionaire, according to Forbes, Miss Rihanna herself, will be performing at the 2023 Super Bowl halftime show. There we go. There we go. There we go. It's on. That's what she said. This is what Jay-Z said in a press statement about after the release of the announcement. Take a look at this, folks. Jay-Z said, quote, Rihanna is a generational talent, a woman of humble beginnings who has surpassed expectations at every turn. This is according to Sean Jay-Z Carter, whose Rock Nation is an executive producer of the show. He said this, a person born on a small island of Barbados who became one of the most prominent artists ever, self-made in business and entertainment. Jules, what's your take on this? You think it's a good pick?
Yeah, I do.
I got one question, but I'm going to let you go with yours first.
Well, okay, so one, I remember when the Kaepernick situation happened. Remember, she was supposed to perform at that Super Bowl halftime.
She was supposed to, right. And she bowed out in support. She wanted to stand in solidarity with Kat.
So it came back full circle. That's the part I like. It because Hov is in there. It came back full circle. Two, I bang with NFL because you know what? I saw it over the weekend, and I still see it on their page. You know they changed their name on their Twitter page to the National Fenty League. I bang with that, dog.
I did not see that.
Yeah, so on their header of on their Twitter page, it says National Fenty League now. Yeah.
Hove did.
Hove did.
It's the Rock. That's what you do. That's what you do. You get in positions of power, you put your friends on. Here's my only concern. This not really a concern, but here's my only thing. Rihanna hasn't dropped an album in like 2-3 years.
Right.
I think the last album she dropped was probably back in 2017, if I'm not mistaken.
Continue. I know. I hear where you're going. Continue. So what you trying to say?
Is she dropping a new album that's coming out?
I don't think so. No. You know what I think? I think this is going to be just the great. Think about how many hits she has. This is going to be a nostalgic concert. Like we discussed this work. This is going to be. This is one of the things you got to be there. Like I want to go now. Like it's because it's going to be hits. So yeah, she might not have dropped the album in 5 years because yeah, she off that right now. She making billions with Fenty. So what music going to do for you? So let me get this Fenty money.
But I think people wanted her to. I mean, for years people have been saying Riri should be dropping something. You know what I'm saying? Like I get it. She got the baby now. You know what I mean? She got her business is booming. So I mean, she's doing a lot of other stuff. So I'm not necessarily mad at her. I'm just saying, just from a Super Bowl standpoint, like what we saw last year with Dr. Dre, Snoop, and all that. Those were classics, right? So you know, I didn't expect new music from Eminem and Mary J and Dre and Snoop and 50. I didn't expect no new music from them. And so I guess this is. I remember the Super Bowl would be the time when, you know, would kind of fall in alignment when an artist drops some new music and then they get the Super Bowl gig, and then, you know what I mean, that just takes it to the next level. But I guess it don't have to be that way.
Or you could be right, Farajii. Or let's look at it this way, because I say this always: there's no such thing as bad publicity. So what if she's doing all her hits, so now she's gaining a whole new couple million fans that never heard of her before, and then in a month or so she dropped another project. So now she got her
right. And you're absolutely right.
New millions. Like,
let me show you why, because I think that worked in Mary J. Blige's favor.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
When she was supposed to, you know, she dropped an album after the Super Bowl.
And Kendrick too. Kendrick dropped his album this year.
So no, you're right. We might be getting some new music from Riri. We might be. We'll see.
You
but
have,
I just think
you have to have that entertainment. But like, I feel like there's new music coming because yes, I'm in the space of Fenty. Yes, I'm in the space of motherhood. Yes, I'm in this billionaire space. But you have to get back into that zone to perform in front of millions of people. So when you're back in that zone, that means you locked in. So that means I feel like something coming. Like you can't get in that zone just for one night and then say I ain't doing this no more.
That's true.
I feel like something about to come out.
Uh-oh. Have you seen the latest pictures of Riri? Riri got a little thick. She ain't small like she used to be. It's gonna be interesting. I can't wait to see the show. I can't wait to see the show. Riri, her fans are different from Beyonce fans or any other women's fans. They go hard.
They go hard.
If you're a Rihanna fan, you go. Y'all don't play by the rules. Rihanna fans don't necessarily play. Neither does Beyonce fans, but Rihanna fans is like, we anti everything.
Sir, they're called the Navy. You have to say
the Navy. Yes, I do remember reading about that, bro. That's a good point. So let me get corrected before I have some ships rolling up where I live or some stuff. You know what I mean? On my Twitter pages. Yeah. Like, y'all don't play. Rihanna fans do not play. So we will see how this is going to go. But this is just another example of Jay-Z's influence. You know what I'm saying? This is another example. I bet you the next Super Bowl, we might see Beyonce.
We need that to happen again. Should be what, third time? This be the third time,
something like that. Mm-hmm. Third time. So we will definitely see. But big shout out to Rihanna. Huh?
She might pop out here, man. She did release the album this year.
She might. I don't know though.
Hey,
bro, real quick. I don't know why I get the vibe that her and like Rihanna and Beyonce don't vibe together.
That was always a thing. Like you never seen them in the same spaces.
I don't know why. I mean, they might be cool, but something tell me like I don't think they bang with each other too tough.
Like we were growing up taught that they don't rock with each other, but it's like maybe they do, but we don't know. We don't know.
They do, but they just don't seem like they don't care for each other that much. Brian, the only thing is because Jay-Z is in the middle of those two. Mm-hmm. So they probably like,
Right.
When he had that unfortunate situation in the elevator, some people was like, "Oh, that was because of Rihanna." I was like, "No, I don't think that was Rihanna. Rihanna, nah, that wouldn't have been Rihanna. That wasn't a Rihanna situation." Jay, I think he really does. Jay put her in a different space. Like, no, I'm gonna help build your career up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to take advantage of you and all that. No, nah. Jay ain't sloppy like that. But we will see how things go. But my man Jules, thank you so much, brother, for checking in, being a part of the show today. We truly, truly appreciate you. And God willing, bro, we see each other next week.
Yeah, always, bro. Always, bro. Remember, that. Remember, bro. Always. Wear with pride, baby.
Big shout out to Target.
Hey.
Thank you, Target.
Hey,
Thank you, sir.
Black Star Network, we need them donations. Target, please come holler at us. We need them donations. Black Star Network, we need them donations. Target, do something for the culture, like you've been doing.
I'm about to put Jules, my new sales manager for the show. Like Jules, you're gonna do sales for us, bro. You're gonna do sales.
Right for me. You know I get down.
Right there it is. All right, Jules, thank you so much, bro. Thank you for being so good for the culture. Talk to you soon. Yes, sir. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Man, oh, man, great show. I'm glad we can make some people laugh today, y'all. Just add a little smile to your Monday. So thank y'all so much for tuning in. All right, make sure y'all continue to show us support at Black Star Network. Go to our website today, blackstarnetwork.com. Download the app for free and get all the latest exclusives and content, the new content, some exclusive content. You can find it on our network. on our website at blackstarnetwork.com. Make sure y'all friend us on all YouTube, Facebook pages. Hook me up. Friend me. Friend me. Yeah, y'all. Friend me. That's right. Friend me. Farajii Muhammad, the real Farajii. I need some more Instagram follows. Y'all know me. I'm going to just tell y'all, keep going to my Instagram. Go to my Twitter page, Farajii. That's right. I'm trying to get 1 million. Trying to get 1 million followers on Instagram. 1 million. Yep. So all of my culture crew, y'all need to just, even if you knew, I don't even know you, just come on over. Just come on over. I need 1 million followers, y'all. 1 million. That's all I need. That's all I need in life is 1 million culture crew members to follow me on Twitter. That's all I need in life, y'all. Anyway, but I appreciate each and every one of you. I thank our very special guest, Mr. John Jackson III from HRSA. Make sure y'all check that out at ryanwhite.hrsa.gov to get more information about National HIV Awareness Day for Black men, for gay and bisexual Black men. So very, very important that we get tested, folks. All right, tomorrow we're going to talk a little bit about what? We got some good things. We got the culture crew. We got Iman Heath. We got Lee Swinney joining us. Dr. Gerald Horn is going to actually be joining us tomorrow instead of Wednesday. So he'll be checking in for the Horn Report tomorrow. So you want to check him out then. And we got some good stuff. I got some good stuff lined up for you. So definitely tune in for tomorrow. Stay tuned. Up next at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is Roland Martin with Roland Martin Unfiltered. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we'll talk tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Have a great afternoon and great evening. God willing, we'll talk tomorrow. Peace.